Hey guys, we've got the Final Fantasy X event on Global. It gives us three different, quote unquote, hard mode bonus bosses. So in this video, I'm going to be going in and using really overpowered teams to just face roll the bosses. And then I'll probably be doing some quick OTK day one clears on the current Dark Visions. And then in another video, soon, I'll be going for some budget runs on these same bosses. But if you have the powerful units, we're going to go and just super easy OTK these bosses, or like 2-turn kill, whatever. So this is the Sin boss. It opens after you do the daily stage. It's difficulty 450. Don't be fooled, it's quite easy. The missions are 3 turns or less. So you can bring 5 units. We don't need 5 units. We're going to be taking this team, so let's give it a go. You can take pretty much whatever you want, as long as you got some strong units, Sephiroth, etc. So it is a fairy and it's weak to wind. So Bulwark is going to give us Fairy Killer. We're going to, let's see here, where's his wind thing? Tempest Tango for the wind imbue and amplify. Cacteria is going to break defense. I don't even know if defense can be broken, but we're going to try it. We're going to Fist in Peril, and we're going to Barbed Boost for an attack power buff on Carton. Let's actually see, can defense be broken? It can be, so make sure you break defense. Maeve is going to triple cast Bolting. She's only here for the later fights, not really this one. And we're going to Frenzy on Carton, and this should be the end of Sin on the first turn. There we go. First turn kill on Carton, or Sin, done. I'm going to go ahead and retreat so I don't make it cost energy in the future, but there was an all mission clear on turn 1 of the boss, Chain up Carton, done. Carton is the absolute king of turn 1 clears. Alright, so I'll show you the gear we used real quick. Bulwark's gear irrelevant, Cacteria's gear irrelevant, Maeve's gear irrelevant. Maeve is just a triple bolting strike chainer. Carton is just using fist build versus fairies, and there it is. He is maxed on Fairy Killer, 6,300 attack, good variance fist in the main hand. There it is. Alright, so see you guys in a second for a very similar clear on the other bonus bosses. Alright guys, next up we're going to Spring of Memories. We're going to do the hard mode version. This is against Spherimorph. It's a very weak to light element. So we've swapped out Bulwark. We're bringing in Aerith for the light, imbue, and amplify, and then Elena just to imperil light for us, so we can get a nice turn 1 clear in. Other than that, pretty much the same concept. So we're going to use Elena to imperil light with refraction. We're going to base form LB with Aerith. Cacteria will Cactus Break, Defense Break, and Fist Imperil. Carton will Frenzy, and Maeve will Gifted Swing. And the reason Maeve is here is for auto-covering the magic damage, assuming you don't OTK on turn 1. We may or may not. Alright, so it didn't actually die super quickly, but it still got OTK'd on turn 1. So there was the clear, and the team's gear was exactly the same. It's another fairy. So we didn't change any of the gear on the DPS. We just still had max Fairy Killer on Carton. The rest of the gear is irrelevant. So we're going to go ahead and pop over to the next boss. So let me change the gear slightly because it's a machine. And I'll see you in a moment. Alright guys, next is the Mechanical Guardian of the Ruins. This is a machine weak to water, so we're going to go over here and just knock this out with a water team. Same concept, we're going back to a 4-man team just because we can. You can add like a machine killer buff or something in the last slot if you need to, like, Ling or Eileen or something. So we're going to use Lord of the Seas Nicole to Shifted LB for the water and amplify, not the imbue. Cacteria is going to Oasis, we're going to Thorny, and we're going to Armor Breaking Needles. Maeve will just triple bolting again, and then Carton will Frenzy. Wait for all this to finish. And chain it up. And that should be the end of Hard Mode Defender Z. There it was. All missions yet again. So Carton, just turn 1 OTKs everything, and then there you go. Super easy. And I'll show you the gear changes we made on a card. And all we did was swap him over from Fairy Killer to Machine Killer. The rest of the team was pretty much identical. So let's go ahead and show real quick. And again, I'll be doing like budget runs a little bit later. So here we go. All I did was swap the killers. So there we go. 250% from killers, 50% from Bahamut, and we are good. So let me go ahead and clear Dark Visions real quick in the same video because it is day 1 OTK trivialness. And then I will see you guys for budget runs later. Alright guys, we're going to be going to the Dark Visions fight real quick and just OTKing them. This is the early stuff. Before we get going, I will mention that we now know from the news in-game that Global has changed the final 3 bosses. I said in my news video that the final 3 bosses are going to be weak to like ice and earth and all that. Gumi has changed that, so the final bosses are not going to be the same as they were on the JP server. So keep that in mind if you're building your teams in advance, but I will have updated plans for that on Monday when the final boss is released. But yeah, just keep that in mind. Gumi has completely changed the final bosses for Global, so it's not what we expected from the JP server. Anyway, so we're going to these. This is a physical fight, weak to Earth and Dark. Day 1 stuff, you can go off element, you can use literally anything you want. So this is the team we're going to do. This is my very typical just turn 1 OTK, no matter what the element is. Sephiroth team, you know, it's weak to Dark, so we're going to be OTKing it by even more than usual, but it doesn't really matter. So we're going to shift form LB Aerith for the stat buff and LB buff. We're going to just 90% defense break with Venera. We're going to 135 Dark Imperil and 30 Dark Amp with Oliveira. Zahn and Shadow are wearing dark weapons. They're going to AR and double SR. So AR and double SR. And Sephiroth will cap the LB. Chain it up. And that's pretty much it. So there is our 100-point chain score. Our damage cap and everything else handled. Because triple casting chainers, the weakness damage is handled. And yeah, so that team is just... I've been using the same style of OTK stuff since like Dark Visions number 2 or something. Just bring in your best finisher, some chainers, there we go, and obviously Sephiroth always hits the damage cap no matter what on the early stuff. So there it is, and you know I'm not really gonna make like I'm not gonna make budget runs on these day 1 bosses because like they are just so exceptionally weak, and I could probably use the same team on this, but we're gonna go with the magical team. Technically, this is week 2 Thunder and Light. Again, day 1 stuff, element doesn't matter. Take your favorite element, who cares? So we're going with a Terra team. So here's the setup. Same general concept. And I am low on energy. We got a lot of stuff to do today. Let's use a bunch of energy. All right. Yep, so same thing. We're going to just use Sylvie to buff up Terra and fill her LB gauge because hers doesn't fill automatically. We're going to use Louise for the fire stuff. So Louise is going to Fire Field. It doesn't actually boost Terra's damage any, but it does imbue the rest of the party. We're going to Incapacitate for the Spirit Break and the Fire Imperil, and then Power Boost and Diverse Arsenal just because we have to cast something. Really, Louise is only really here for the 90% Spirit Break. Sylvie is going to Magnus on Terra. That's an LB damage buff, and it fills her LB. We're going to hop into battle on Terra to give her a big magic buff. And then Marion watch over me just because whatever. Noctis is going to use his LB for the Sword Imperil. Terra will LB. Shadow will do the same chaining as will Zahn. And that's pretty much it. Wait for all this to finish. And chain it up. And same thing. The chain score is handled by Zahn and Shadow. And then Terra eventually comes in with there it is, the damage cap. You know, wrong element, doesn't matter. Day 1 stuff is trivial. There it is. Terra did the 9.9999, and then we're good. So there is our perfect day 1 score. Day 2 scores on Saturday will be basically the same exact thing. You know, your finisher does max damage. You could also bring things like Luna Freya, Yuna, you know, whatever finisher you want. And the reason I like using evokers for the magical stuff is because the killers are universal, so no matter what boss, you always have, you know, technically max killers. Anyway, there's the Dark Vision stuff. So I'll now play around with some budget runs for those EX bosses, and once I get something I feel is satisfactory, I will upload that as well. So see you then.